Good morning. I I am the Reverend Lisa Bovee-Kemper. My pronouns are she and her. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist community of Charlotte. In this community, challenged by our liberating faith, we discover deeper spiritual meaning, nurture loving community, cultivate courageous connections, and partner in the work of justice. This is our May Community Sunday. We will have a number of engaging activities for personal reflection, faith formation, and spiritual deepening. You're invited to participate in after our shortened service. We'll describe these activities in a little bit. Welcome to each and every one of you, whether you're here in person or joining via live stream. We're pleased to have guests with us in both places. I encourage you to reach out to our Director of Member Relations, Kelly Green. Her email and her photograph are on the screen. We have large print orders of service, personal hearing assistance devices, and an elevator available. There's also a hearing loop in our alternate worship space, the Bernstein Room. We have coloring pages and fidgets for all ages in the vestibule, if that is useful to you or your children. This morning, we invite you to consider the idea of planting seeds. In the spring, we plant seeds in the ground that will be harvested next season. As the school year comes to an end and the weather gets warmer, we shift our focus toward the growing warmth and extravagant beauty of nature around us. This time of year is also a great time to consider the seeds planted within. The ideas and beliefs that have taken root in our hearts were once seeds, and new seeds are germinating all the time. Which ones will you choose to nurture? Which will grow despite our best efforts to ignore them? Again, a warm welcome to all of you, whether you are here in person or joining via live stream. Whether today is your first or your 1000th Sunday in our midst, we are stronger because you are here. We are one people of many beliefs, origins, identities, and genders. We are all growing, all learning, all loved. I invite you now to take a deep breath and settle in as our service begins. I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join in singing our opening song. It's number 347 in the gray hymnal, or the words are on the screen. We'll be singing verses 1 and 2. our chalice lighting. As frozen earth holds the determined seed, this sacred space holds our weariness, our worry, our laughter, and our celebration. Let us bring seed and soul into the light of thought, the warmth of community, and the hope of love. Let us see together, let us hear together, let us love together, let us worship. Have any of you ever been on a playground or in a park and with some friends, and maybe those friends were making good choices, and maybe those friends were making not so good choices, and you had to decide what you were going to do, what your choice was going to make? Has that happened to any of you? Couple of you, yeah. So I want to tell you a story today from the young life of one of our Unitarian Universalist ancestors. This is how it is told by Dan Harper. Once upon a time, there lived a little boy named Theodore Parker. He lived on a farm in Lexington, Massachusetts. His grandfather had been one of the militiamen who had stood up to the British soldiers in the Battle of Lexington at the beginning of the Revolutionary War, protesting the injustice of the English king. The musket that his grandfather had carried on that day hung over the fireplace in the farmhouse. One fine day in spring, when Theodore Parker was nearly 4 years old. Is anybody in here 4 years old? Yeah. Has anybody in here been 4 years old? Couple of you. One fine day in spring, when he was nearly 4 years old, Theodore's father led him by the hand to a distant part of the farm. Soon, his father sent him to walk home alone On the way, little Theodore had to pass a small pond in the field, and there was a group of kids playing there. A rhodora flower in full bloom drew his attention, as did the noise and chattering of the other kids playing near the pond. There in the pond, Theodore saw that there were a bunch of spotted turtles sunning themselves in the water at the foot of the flower. And the other kids came with sticks, and they started playing a game where they were knocking the turtles off the log and putting them into the water. Now, these were some kids that were Theodore's age, a couple of kids that were a little bit bigger than Theodore. He thought they were pretty cool. He kind of wanted to be friends with them. So Theodore picked up a stick in his hand, and he went up to one of the turtles. He lifted up the stick to strike the turtle and knock it off the log. All at once, something checked his arm and stopped him from striking the turtle. And a voice within him said, clear and loud, "Stop, that's wrong." Theodore froze and held his stick in the air and wondered what that was. In a split second, he dropped the stick and ran all the way home. And he told the story to his mother. "Mother," he said, "what was it that told me it was wrong?" His mother often sat in a rocking chair, and he liked to sit on his mother's lap. She would scoop him into her arms and pull him up onto her lap, which was a comfortable and safe place for him. She said, "Some people call it conscience. I like to call it the voice of God in the soul of people. Some people call it lots of different things. But if you listen and obey that still small voice is my words, not Theodore Parker's mom's words. If you listen to that still small voice, to your conscience, it will speak clearer and clearer and always guide you right. But if you close your ears to it, or if you don't listen, then it will start to fade. It will leave you all in the dark and without a guide. Theodore's mother said, "Your life depends on your heeding that little voice." For the rest of his life, Theodore Parker listened to his conscience, that voice in his soul that he had heard that day. And like his grandfather before him, he always tried to do what is right. Our beliefs shape our actions, and our actions and our commitments and our convictions start as little seeds, as small voices, noticings, that if we pay attention to them, we will learn how to follow our conscience, how to go with our gut, how to tend those tendrils and shoots that will become the trunk and the roots of the beliefs and the values that lead us through life.
Good morning. A seed knows how to wait. A seed knows how to wait. Most seeds wait for several years before starting to grow. A cherry seed can wait for 100 years with no problem. What exactly each seed is waiting for is known only to that seed. Some unique trigger, combination of temperature, moisture, light, and many other things is required to convince a seed to jump off the deep end and take its chance, to take its one and only chance to grow. A seed is alive while it waits. Every acorn on the ground is just as alive as the 300-year-old oak tree that towers over it. Neither the seed nor the old oak is growing, they are both just waiting. When you go into a forest, you probably tend to look at the plants that have grown so much taller than you ever could. You probably don't look down where just beneath your single footprint sits between 100 and 1,000 seeds, each one alive and waiting. When you are in the forest, for every tree that you see, there are no less than 3 million more trees waiting in the soil, fervently wishing to be. When the embryo within a seed starts to grow, it basically stretches out its doubled over waiting posture, elongating into official ownership of the form that it assumed years ago. The hard coat that surrounds a peach pit, a sesame or a mustard seed or a walnut shell mostly exists to prevent this expansion. In the laboratory, we simply scratch the hard coat and add a little water, and it's enough to make almost any seed grow. I must have cracked thousands of seeds over the years, and yet the next day's green never fails to amaze me. Something so hard can be so easy if you just give it a little help. In the right place, under the right conditions, you can finally stretch out into what you are supposed to be. Each beginning is the end of a waiting. We are each given exactly one chance to be. Each of us is both impossible and inevitable. Every replete tree was first a seed that waited.
I invite you to join me in a time of contemplation or prayer, to breathe deeply, to be present to the spirit of life which is in us and through us and around us, to those human connections that give us strength when we struggle and celebrate when we are joyful. The gathered community hears and holds both difficulty and ease as we honor the experiences that make each of us who we are. I am thinking particularly today of all of those children and youth and teachers and parents and families and helpers of all kinds connected to schools who are scurrying around doing end-of-the-year testing and parties and gathering funds to give gifts and all kinds of stuff, that flurry of activity, all that extra driving that happens, all that extra celebration and a little bit of stress that happens as we approach an ending, perhaps the freedom of a little bit of summer and camps and things like that, being outdoors and in the water, and then we move toward a new beginning, sort of opposite of the seed and harvest. Those two things are happening at the same time in an interesting way. And as always, we send our love and our healing and our hopes for peace all over the world. Close in our community and far away, doing what we can where we are to work to make it so. Amen, and blessed be. This is a community sustained by the love and support, both heart-centered and wallet-centered. This is the wallet moment. We are grateful for those of you who pledge your support to the community and also to those who put their coins and bills and checks into the basket as we collect the offering for the work of this community. The offering will now be received.
At the conclusion of our service in a few moments, you will be invited to participate in our community Sunday sessions. Listed on the screen now are those sessions, and will be listed again at the end of the service. Today's sessions are all about planting seeds of one type or another. We have Seeds and Growing Things, which is a planting activity, and Art with Seeds. That is going to be quite a bit fun, and it's going to be on Playground 2 outdoors. We have Sustainable Landscaping Part 2, Meet Our Church Garden, which is going to include native plants that we have here, and a walk around the grounds. I don't know why that word escaped me. And those will gather in the lower vestibule. TikTok Theology with Reverend Lisa in the Bernstein Room will be viewing and discussing some TikTok videos from someone called Rev Joe UU, who is a UU minister, and gives compelling short videos explaining Unitarian Universalism. And lastly, in the conference room, we have Summertime Sharing, a casual sharing circle of things that you can do with family members of all ages over the summer. Please rise and body your spirit for our closing song, Building New Way, number 1017 in the Teal hymnal, or the words will be on the screen. Our service has now ended. Please join me in singing, reading, you can sing them if you want, in reading the words on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Amen. Blessed be, and go on your way.